بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Salam everyone! Hi brothers and sisters. I'm not sure what happened with my last video, but somehow it got a lot of views and subscribers from Indonesia. So salam alaikum Indonesian fam. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for subscribing. And also thank you to whoever shared the video. You guys are awesome. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all and guide us all to Jannah, inshallah. Alright, today I want to talk with you fam about jinns, shamanism, ayahuasca, and the spirit world. Actually, each of them probably deserves a separate video, and maybe one day I will elaborate on each topic. But today I want to share an overview of my experience with them during my non-Islamic days and conclusions I drew out of those experiences as a Muslim. My late grandmother and pretty much all the women before her in my family were known as Siberian shamans. My grandma was a healer and occult practitioner, so the spirit world was very familiar to me as I was growing up. And people would come to her from all over the place for healing and for spiritual advice. So as a child, I was always kind of around, listening and learning. And she would also teach me some stuff here and there. So one day, I remember I was very young. Two women came over, one of which my grandma already knew and we were familiar with her. And the other one we've never seen before. So this woman asked to speak with my grandma privately, and they go to another room. Few minutes later, I hear my grandma yelling at the woman to get out, and I was shocked. I never seen my grandma so upset and angry. And this unknown woman, she runs out of the room, grabs her friend, storms out of the house. So I was so confused at that time because I couldn't understand what the woman could have possibly done to make my always calm and collected grandma to yell and kick her out. So I asked, and she kind of brushed me off, saying that I'm too young for all this, but that I should know to avoid that woman because she saw a jinn sitting on her shoulders. And she used the word chort, which is not a positive jinn. Chort is like one of the shayateen, one of the demons. And she was right though. At that time, I had no really idea what she's talking about, and I couldn't understand what she meant until a few days later, the other lady comes back crying, apologizing for her friend, saying that she had no idea that her friend has been doing rituals and making deals with jinns through the use of some needles, and that if she knew, she would have never brought her in. She said that woman kept cursing at my grandma when they left, talking about who cares if she deals with jinns, my grandma should have done what she wanted. Many stories like this fam throughout my childhood. Growing up with it all talks about jinns and spirits and being told that sometimes all this is needed for good purposes and that knowing the occult is just a useful skill. I don't know, it just kind of made it all seem normal to me, and I learned about it as naturally as I learned walking. But my young mind, however, interpreted things differently from my grandma. And once she passed away, I lost touch with who she was. And also, I lost touch with God, so I didn't see a point of healing anyone or keeping up with the whole good shaman legacy. I thought work with jinn was better because, well, the effort was little and the gratitude was quick. So my focus slowly gravitated to, I guess you could say, the dark side of the occult. It all ended one day though, when my friend Mariah and I went to a 3-day yoga retreat. It's like a yoga training, and the gathering was a few hours away from home. And my friend Mariah, she's also very familiar with spirit work, so me and her were connected pretty easily. She took a spirit board with her so we could use it that night in the motel we were staying. We ended up abandoning the yoga retreat after like one day, just sort of got bored of it. So when nighttime came, we invited another one of our friends, Michael, to hang out with us. When he came, Mariah kept pushing to use the spirit board because she brought some ancient Hebrew text that she wrote down and she wrote the transliteration for. So the text was in Hebrew, but the letters were in English so that all of us could read it. But I wasn't in the mood and I just wanted to go out. But she kept insisting, so eventually I agreed, only if I could read the text myself. I was just hoping that I could get all of this over faster. She agreed, and we lit the candles and prepared for the ritual. Time came and I started reading the text. Next thing I know, we're all outside by our motel door. Mariah is bawling, crying, and Michael is slapping me on my face. I couldn't understand what just happened. One second we were in the motel, and the other second we were there. They told me that as I was reading the text, at some point I jumped up, threw all the burning candles on the floor, and ran outside trying to jump over the motel rails, head down off the second floor. And it was then that Michael grabbed me and started slapping me to snap out of it. Had he been a second late, fam, I would have killed myself because the bottom was just concrete. I couldn't remember any of it, and it was just a complete time drop. But the impact it had on me was so powerful that even though I felt the spirit world to be my own, that event was the one that actually made me think and reflect and drop considering Jinn and what I learned growing up as an entertainment tool and a way to connect with forces I had no real understanding of. As I grew older, I felt like still I cannot change who I thought I was. So I ended up getting into the spiritual realm again, but this time not through Jinn, but through medicine spirits, Ayahuasca and Amazonian shamanism, which they say is all about healing and peace and creativity, though again through connection with spirits. This world was very different. Everyone cares about each other, people drink, vision stimulating mixtures. It's all about meditation, love, weed, almost like this hippie culture. Ceremonies and rituals are about connecting with the spirit guides and healing. And these were the type of people that you could look at and think like, wow, they're really connected with nature. Everyone is so peaceful. These herbal drinks, they expand your consciousness and they let you experience visions, and it's just all so cool. So it's easy to understand why so many people gravitate towards this. My wake-up call came when one of the group leaders and somebody actually I cared for and I thought, to be a guide through the spirit realm, he committed suicide. And no explanation, no warning signs, just a goodbye Facebook post saying that he was in a dark place that he isn't able to come out of. And the spirits he was dealing with just finally drove him to a point of no return. And this is when I realized that no matter how much you glamorize the world of the unseen, jinns, spirits, and all of that, it is not our world to deal with. And sometimes it might just all seem, fun and imaginary, but the problem is the consequences, fam, they're just too real. Someone might say, well, Aya, shamans are just healers. What's wrong with asking spirits to show us visions if they're good spirits? And what's wrong with hallucinogenic plants like shrooms and ayahuasca? Didn't God create them? Isn't this just another dimension of God's creation? And it's not the same as dealing with bad jinn and sorcery? Fam, you're right. It's not the same. There's a big line between jinn and dark arts versus medicine spirits and traditional spirit healing. But that difference lies mostly in intention. Dark arts are meant to control and manipulate the mind and asking jinn to aid in formulating a certain outcome of things. While shamanic healing is about asking spirits for mind-expanding visions and, well, healing. Seeing enough of both of them in my life, I could tell you, fam, that though both may give you some illusion of power and strength and make you feel like you're this special being connected to the spirit realm, I see both as concepts equally destructive. And here's why. I support nature's natural remedies and natural healing, which is what all these plans and practices were meant to be for. The problem starts when all of this stops being pure medicine and becomes a path to misguidance. People somehow develop this idea that just being a human isn't enough. They want to be something else, something different, something special, being a part of something mystical and the unseen. But instead of choosing God, they choose spirits and spirit arts. How come? We are human beings and should be proud of it. There is no need to ask for things from Jinn or anyone else but God. Because if we think about it, who did the angels bow to? Was it jinns or her grandfather Adam? And who has the power over everything? Is it spirits, a creation, or God? When we start to ask spirits for visions, guidance, healing, whatever, good or bad, two things happen. First is that we start to attribute to them power that they don't have. We forget that it is not them, but it is God who heals and guides us and grants us everything. And once that happens, we submit to these spirits. In a sense, they almost become our God, because we don't say it, but we think it is them or this ritual or this amulet that we made that helps us, forgetting about the one who is actually in control of everything, and by that falling into shirk and misguidance. Number two is dealing with beings outside of concept of time makes us forget our own. Our time on earth is very short, and somehow jinns, spirits, and the spirit world makes us forget that. We start feeling similar to them, like we're spirits too, stuck in a body confined to a useless concept of time, thinking that death isn't real, is just a transformation into another unlimited form. Fam, though this idea isn't exactly wrong, it takes away from the fact that death is actually very real, and the transformation won't necessarily be pleasant for everyone. That we will be at some point filtered out and sorted into different groups based on our actions and intentions. And time is all we really have to make sure that we get put into groups that we want to be in. These spirit world practices basically show us some part of the truth. That's what pulls people in and excites them. But the truth isn't complete. And what is missing is so crucial that it makes, without it, that truth destructive. We no longer are concerned with our inevitable death and what is to come of us. And we mistakenly start thinking that we'll be just spirits and nothing else matters. You see, fam, how something that started out as seemingly positive and healing ends up leading to shirk, or in English, associating partners with God, and spirit idolizing, and carelessness about the fate of our souls, all of which lead us straight on the path to hellfire. Fam, whether you're a Muslim or not, chances are there will be people you will face who will try to beautify this idea of spirits and dark rituals and jinns and the occult and the voodoo and whatever. Chances are they will promise you things from this world which will impress you. But fam, none of it is worth your soul, and no one has any power but by God's permission. There's nothing we could gain if we lost God, and there's nothing we could lose if we found Him. So fam, let's hang on tight to our Creator and improve ourselves as human beings. Connect only with God and ask only for His help and guidance. Because fam, that's where the true power lies, and that's where the real success is. I hope you guys liked today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys all next week, inshallah. Thank you fam for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.